What's happening? All right. It's been a minute since I've been on, and I've got a few things that I'm looking at doing today. And one of those is trying to figure out some color correction stuff in Adobe After Effects. So I've got a shot that my buddy did in After Effects and was unable to render it for some reason. When he went to render it, it rendered it. It just came out black. And so we're going to be looking to see, you know, can we figure out, what's going on with that. So in the meanwhile, I'm updating my Twitch app on my phone. And, I'm not running. Let's make sure that's up and running so I can hear and see your comments, should you leave any. And now I'll go over to here. Let's turn on our Resolve lighting. And let's bring up the background. You're seeing the beautiful face of Matilda. Lost her 1 year ago yesterday. She was almost 15 years old. She was just the sweetest dog in the world. And I'll probably change this background soon. But I just like looking at her pretty face. And her mother is on my laptop screen, which you can't see. So I miss them both terribly. Had them for 15 years. It's like a third of my life. But it's been a year now without them, and the house has been really quiet. But you get used to it. You move on, I guess. All right, so let's look at this color test here. So, Noah has given to me an After Effects project. There's like some fill PNGs. This has got something to do with like content aware fill or something like that, and that we're probably going to have to redo because the coloring and everything is not right. But for some reason I cannot seem to get the color management working, so we're going to try and get that today. So I'm just going to open up After Effects, and so we'll get that working here. While that is loading up, I will just say that the film is getting to a point where we're going to be done soon. There's still some music things that have to be done. In fact, there's actually a piece of temp music that I need to block in today and listen to that I got from one of my composers. But all right, here we go. But we're getting close to being done. I'm really hoping, that we can release sooner than later. But there's just a lot of factors, some of which are outside my control. And so I'm trying to take control of the ones that I can. So one that I feel like should be within my control is being able to render things out of After Effects in a way that I can bring back into Resolve in a way that makes sense. Okay. So one way to do that is just to basically render your final file out of Resolve, bring it into After Effects, do the effects on it, and then send it back. That's a way to do it. And that may be what we end up doing. The workflow that we had decided to work with was Noah has all the B-raw footage and can be working on the effects while I'm working on the color correction, assuming he has a general idea of what it's supposed to look like in the end. So one thing that he needs a sidecar file. So if you go into Resolve, in fact, as much as it will pain my system to do it, let's also load up Resolve, because we need to be able to compare this shot with the shot in Resolve. So we'll wait for Resolve to load also, and then we'll get started doing these things. But in Resolve, when you're working with a raw shot, then it enables a camera raw panel. And the camera raw panel allows you to change in post things like the color temperature, the exposure, the ISO, contrast, tint, the gamma. There's a whole bunch of things that you can change and fiddle with if you are so inclined, and I am so inclined. So, all right, we'll just open up the movie project here. And so when you film, you have those things set in your camera, but that's really just so you can kind of view it how you intend to view it later. But it's not baked into the file. The file is capturing just raw data out of the sensor, and it's got to display it to you in some way. So those choices that you make in the camera, that's how it's displaying it to you, is based on those choices there in the camera. So when you bring it into Resolve, it takes those choices that you made on set and it uses those as a starting point. And you can just leave it like that, or you can basically turn those off and use a preset set of choices that you've decided on, like a default set of choices, or you can just do a custom one for every clip, which is what I do. So now we've got Resolve up here. So let's look at Resolve. So here is a clip. Let's actually go to the clip that we're going to be looking at today, which is just a little bit before this, which is right here. Okay, so this is the raw clip. And you can't really see it in the timeline, but the very next clip down here is the Apple ProRes version. So this is like the effects version. You see the color on it is very different. So I think I'm going to go into the edit page and make sure that my effects clip is disabled, because sometimes that can give you some screwy things going on in the color page. So I'm just going to hit D to disable the clip. All right, so that is now disabled. So now if I go into my color page, yeah, it does not even show up as a clip anymore. So now I can be sure that what I'm looking at here is in fact my raw clip. So with that clip selected, if I go down here to the bottom left of this camera raw tab, and I'll zoom in on it so you can see, then the camera raw tab allows me to choose the decode quality, if I'm going to decode it using clip settings or project settings or custom in-camera settings or whatever. It's going to allow me to pick a color science if I want to change that for some reason, pick a white balance, change the ISO, turn on highlight recovery and gamut compression, change the color temperature, change the tint, change the exposure. So once I have changed these things, then I can select multiple clips in the timeline. So if I like, the settings that I have for that, then I can go and select a range of clips here, like all the ones that you see in red, and I can hit use settings, and it will change all those clips to those same settings. So if I wanted to change a whole scene or whatever, it would do that. Supposedly this use changes button only changes the things I have changed. So if these had all different exposure settings, but I changed the color temperature, then it would only change the color temperature in those clips. I got to be honest, I've never anecdotally experienced that, working correctly in any expected way, but supposedly that's what it does. But more importantly, for this one clip, if I only have this one clip selected, the use changes and use settings buttons are not highlighted, obviously, because I don't have other clips selected to apply it to. But what is highlighted now, these other two buttons down here, one says export frame, so I can just export a still right here. It says export a single frame with current camera raw settings. And this says update sidecar. So if I hit update sidecar, what that does is, let's go back to my Finder. And so the raw file is not in here. Oh, but actually I think I had it. I've got it here. Let's just go find the raw file. So we'll zoom in here so you can see what we're doing. So here's all my hard drives, and I'm going to go to my raw clip, and it was from the last day of principal photography, which I guess would have been this. Oh, that was pickups, I think. Oh yeah, it's December or something. It was from 11/20. Here we go. Okay. All right. So you see here, here's the clip that we're editing. You can see the thumbnail there is similar to what we're looking at. A018, this is the mag number. 11/20/10/42. This is November 20th. And 10/42 is the time. So this is a date and time stamp. This is how Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera names the files. And even with that, it still puts C004 on the end of it. So with the date and the timestamp and the number stamp there, then you have a unique file name. So if you were to record a 10-second clip and then record another 10-second clip, the first part of that would conceivably be the same if it was within the same minute, but it would have a different number at the end. And you can see all these are sequential, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So anyway, makes it pretty sure that you're going to have unique file names, for everything, even really across across cameras, because ideally you're going to have a different real number on the other cameras. This is camera A. Camera B would have B018, and then, okay, etc. Right? Okay. So anyway, here's the B-raw file. When I hit update sidecar, it creates this sidecar file. All right, and if I were to highlight this, you can kind of see it in the preview there, but if I were to quick look this, you see what's in there. It's just really basic text information. It's a small text file that just has metadata about the raw camera settings. Tone curve, contrast, post 3D LUT mode, view gamma, ISO, white balance, tint, exposure, whatever. Right? It's all in there. So all of this information is in the metadata of the raw file, whatever you had it set in the camera when you filmed it. The sidecar file overrides the camera metadata that is built into the file. So if you have a program that automatically looks for a sidecar, or if you have the ability to look for a sidecar, which I will show you in After Effects in just a minute, then in interpreting the raw file into an image that you can look at, it will pull information from the sidecar and not the metadata built into the file itself. Okay, so that's what a sidecar is, and it has to live in the same folder with the B-raw file. And it's called a sidecar because they travel together just like a motorcycle and a sidecar, right? Just travels along right beside it. So the beauty of this is I don't have to export a new ProRes or whatever to send to Noah. He already has the B-raw file. All I have to do is export the sidecar file, which is 664 bytes. It's super tiny, right? And so that's what I've done in this Dropbox here, is I've just given him just the sidecar file. So say, hey, here's all the updates that I made on this image. Here's a less than 1K sidecar file. He takes that file out of Dropbox, copies it into his folder where he's got the raw footage, and now he's able to see the raw footage the exact same way that I am. So that's what a sidecar file is, and that's why we're working with them. So I'm going to zoom back out. So when you are in Blackmagic and you have things, when you're in Davinci Resolve and you have things the way you want, you hit update sidecar, it writes that file, it creates that file. The sidecar files do not exist until you create them here. Otherwise, that metadata is just embedded into the clip itself. So I've updated sidecar, I've created that file, I've given it to Noah. All right, we're going to leave this open in the background because I want to be able to compare what the images look like. Color management in Resolve, I'm confident, is correct. All right, so the first thing I notice is this big blue thing which shows that we have a missing file. So I'm going to go find the file, and obviously the main file that we're working with, that's the file that's missing. So I'm going to right-click on the file here, and I'm going to go to Replace Footage. I really wish there was like a relink or whatever, but nothing like that. And if I hit File, it just brings up a folder. Now, it happens to bring up the correct folder because I've already been working in this project before, and this was the last folder that I was in. But typically, it just brings it up in whatever the last folder you were in was. So it could be like this folder here, where I was doing some exports on like some business card stuff. Okay. So it doesn't give you the name of the file that you're looking for. It doesn't give you a search option. This is bad, Adobe. Like, it's 2024. This is After Effects. This is like, we're doing high-level stuff here. Give me some options. Anyway, I know what folder it is. I know where the file is. There it is. There's the sidecar file grayed out because I'm looking for a B-raw file, and it's the one that ends in 04, and there it is. And I can see through the thumbnail. Yeah, this is the one that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Open, and it's going to relink now to that B-raw file that's on my fast 7200 RPM drive. And we're going to give it a second, and now it's rendered. Now, you can see the color on these is not the same. So this color here is based on the content-aware fill that Noah did when he had color settings at a different setting. Now that I've got the color settings the way that I want to get all this stuff to match so that I can re-render it. When he tried to render this on his machine, everything came out black, which is not correct. So we're going to make sure that we get everything rendered correctly so that I can bring it back into Resolve, and ideally treat it very similar to the raw clips that I have in that I can do all my color correction and everything on top of it. Okay, so what we've done here, and I'm going to go ahead and just save this as a new After Effects project. So let's do Save As. And I'm going to keep it in this Dropbox folder simply because it's converted. Simply because I'm just going to put my name on the end of it. That way Noah can have the ability to reopen it and see if there's any differences on his end or if he's still unable to render it. We don't know if the issue is maybe his hardware, his GPU, or if it's some software setting or what. So we're going to find out. So I'll go ahead and hit Save. All right, so now I've got this saved as a new project. So now when I come back and reopen this, everything should be linked. Okay. So the way he's done this is a bunch of nested things. So I'll zoom out here to fit up to 100%. And by the way, what we're doing is she blinks in this shot before her head moves, and I don't want her to blink before her head moves. And so I asked Noah, can you take the blink out? It's just like a couple frames, you know. He figured out a way to do it. The original clips that he sent me look great, but the white balance and stuff is off from what I have it set to now. And so that's why we're hoping to re-render it and re-render it correctly. So the goal here is to take it from B-RAW and get it into Davinci Resolve in a format that the color correcting stuff, the color management stuff in Davinci Resolve will treat it the same as the raw clips. So there's two ways we can do it. All right. When we go to, and either way does not seem to be working very well, I don't think. But there's two ways to do it. One way is to understand that by default, After Effects basically works in Rec 709, which is just the default display format. And I just would understand that when I export something, it's going to be in Rec 709. When I bring it into Resolve, I just tell it this is Rec 709, and Resolve handles it, the color management accordingly. That's one way to do it. The way I think that I would like to do it is to take it from B-RAW and convert it into ACES CCT, because that's the color space I'm working with inside of Resolve, is ACES CCT. So by converting it into ACES CCT and exporting it as ACES CCT, I would be able to bring it into Resolve and basically not do any color management on it, and all the color tools and everything in Resolve would work as expected. That's the idea. That's the goal. I don't know that that's exactly if it's going to work right, but that's what we're attempting to see. And we had it set up at one point where what he was seeing in his Finder was what he was seeing here on screen. So again, I'm going to go to my Finder and make sure that we have this clip selected, so that, you know, if I quick look it, I can see the color and I can see what it looks like. Okay, it's basically just showing me the first frame of the clip. Okay. In fact, I think I can open this in the B-RAW player. So let's open with Blackmagic Raw Player. Let's just see what it looks like in that. See if it applies some kind of LUT or something when it opens. So I'll bring it over here. It looks kind of like a QuickTime file. And it looks like maybe it is applying at least the camera raw settings. You know, it's kind of low contrast. It doesn't quite look raw, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's gonna be hard to suss out. Okay. So this is kind of what we're looking at here in the B-RAW. So I'll just kind of leave that open in the background, and you can see that doesn't that look different than if I quick look at here? Whoops! Oh, didn't mean to do that. It's all these different looks. It's like, which one's correct? Who knows? Okay. So actually, I need the GPU bandwidth, so I'm actually going to close that for now, but we can come back and open that again. All right, so I'm looking at it in After Effects versus Resolve. Obviously, drastic differences in the color, right? So one thing that's going on in Resolve is I have all of my color correction on and all that stuff. So I have everything in groups, and so I have the pre-group color correction that has a whole bunch of luma color, contrast, sat stuff, possibly some grain. I've got post-group thing that has some creative grade and stuff done to it. Plus, I have my timeline grade, which has some things turned off, but there's, you know, timeline looks like it's basically not doing anything. But what I want, and there's nothing going on in the clip yet. I have not really color graded this scene yet. So I'm going to hit this bypass button, and this is showing me with the camera raw settings that I have, you know, what it looks like out of the camera. And just to test that, I'm going to change these camera raw settings and then change them back. So the tint is at 10. I'm going to set it at 100. Okay, and that definitely made a difference even though the bypass is on. So that shows it is using the camera raw settings. I'm going to change that back to 10. So it is using the camera raw settings, but it's not using anything else. Okay, so which is good, because in After Effects, it has to apply the camera raw settings to show you anything, to show you, you know, something. So that's what we're going to attempt to do here. Now, all this stuff is kind of nested, right? So what Noah has down here is he's got this patch, which is like an eyebrow patch. Let me turn it off. And it's like the top part of the eyebrow. Okay. So then we go into this patch 1 pre-comp, and there's another patch. We turn that off, and that is the eye itself, which replaced the eye. And down here, there's another pre-comp, which is the original B-raw. So here it is, the original B-raw clip. All right. So this is the one that we're working on. This is the one that we want to look like that. Okay, we got a long way to go. It doesn't look anything like that. So first thing that we're going to check is that we have color management turned on in our project. So I'm just going to right click on the project window up here and choose project settings. And I'm going to go to the color tab. And I'm going to see that out of my color engine settings, I can do Adobe Color Managed, or I can do OCIO Color Managed. So I've got OCIO Color Managed. That's what I want to be able to do ACES. So I've got that. OCIO configuration. I've got ACES 1.3. ACES 1.2 is an option. There's 1.3 CG and 1.3 Studio. And I've changed these back and forth, and it doesn't make any difference in the image that I'm looking at that I can tell. We're doing everything in 16-bit. We're doing this tetrahedral, which requires GPU acceleration. I'm not really sure, which of these is better to use, trilinear or tetrahedral. I would assume the one that uses the GPU would be better. And the working color space is ACES CCT. I have it set to ACES CCT because that's the same color space that I'm working in Resolve. And so I want things to kind of be able to pass between After Effects and Resolve, very easily. So it's set to ACES CCT. But my display, I don't want to look at it in ACES CCT, because if I do that, it's going to be real milky and low contrast and look very strange, because my display cannot display that wide a color space. So my display color space is going to be standard Rec 709 SDR. Standard, that's instead of HDR, it's standard dynamic range. So that's what I want, is Rec 709 display SDR. That's what I've calibrated my display to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. That's what I want it to look like. So this is all set correctly. All right, so I hit OK. So now I go to the clip. I want to make sure the clip is interpreted correctly. All right. So one of the effects that we've added to this clip is the B-raw studio layer settings. So I'll just pull up the options on that, and it's just bringing up a settings window. Enable layer settings GPU and project settings. Enable layer settings GPU when project settings are in GPU. Let's turn that on. Advanced user feature confirmation. Don't forget to update your GPU drivers. Okay. So we'll turn that off if we need to. There is an updated version of this plugin. There's a version 3. I've paid for version 2. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe I'm going to have to upgrade to version 3. This is a user guide and about. So that's really the only thing I changed, was maybe turning on that GPU. I don't even know if I should have done that, but I did. So we'll hit OK. All right. That seemed to make no change in the image anyway. Okay. So now we go over here and we've got settings and license, which just brings up that same window. We've got load preset, save preset, manage presets. I'm not using a preset. What I want to use is that sidecar file that we made. So right here, there's a button that says load sidecar. Okay. Load sidecar, or reset to B-raw default, or reset to camera metadata. Or I can make my own changes here, right? So you see all this is ISO, color space, all that stuff. I can do all these manually, and then I can update sidecar. I can make my own new sidecar. But I just want to load the sidecar file that exists. So I hit load sidecar. And when I load the sidecar file, let's see, this says, sidecar loaded. So I hit OK. Now we saw a change happen in the image, and we saw changes happen over here. And we see exposure 1.67. If I go to Resolve, I see exposure is at 1.67. We see white balance is at 3500. Here I see white balance at 3500. Here we see exposure, the ISO is at 400. If I go here, I got the ISO set at 400. If we see, let's see, LUT source is embedded, white balance, gamma. Oh, apply LUT is not checked. Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so everything is basically how I have it set here. So now these should look the same, but they do not. So the other thing we need to make sure is that these things are all being converted to the correct space. So this plugin, let me turn off this plugin here. Okay, so this plugin here, this B-Raw Studio Layer Settings plugin, I think is converting the image to Rec 709. I think. The problem is I have my display settings at Rec 709, okay? And yet this does not look right. Okay? So the colors are sort of in the right range. Like the white balance looks like it's probably maybe on the correct setting, but it's very oversaturated. So I have some other settings here. I can do untone mapped. That looks better, but it's still not right. Let me do display raw. That looks like a raw image. That looks like it does basically in Finder, so that's not correct. If I do sRGB SDR video, again, oversaturated, over contrast. If I do untone mapped, it's better, but still wrong. If I do display raw, yeah, it just displays it raw. Let's see, if I do a PQ display HDR, no, that doesn't look right. If I do a P3 D65 display, does not look correct. If I do P3 D65 Aces Cinema, you know, that's kind of the closest so far, but it's still not right. If we go to untone mapped, okay. It still doesn't look the same, but that's definitely close, right? Okay, so that's very interesting. So if I just hit none, what happens? It goes to, okay. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna go back to my project settings, back to my color settings. Project settings, color, and I'm going to turn the color management off. I'm just going to go to Adobe Color Manage. All right, and this is telling me change in color engine. Changes to the color engine have an impact on the color management and color settings parameters. Got it. So I hit OK. Okay, it changed all the parameters. Okay, so now we're just at normal 2.4 Rec 709. No working color space. Yeah, this is just sort of the standard default. Okay, so hit OK. All right, and did not really change anything according to the image. So let's go back to the effect controls. Let me turn off this B-Raw plugin. And yeah, it has no effect to how the image is brought in. That's crazy. Let's pick a different frame. It's rendering very quickly. Make this a little bigger for you. There we go. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, interesting. Okay, let's change let's do our color management settings. Let's change them back. So I want to go color managed. It's telling me change in color engine. Okay, that's fine. I don't really want to do Aces 1, 2. I want to do Aces 1, 3. Okay. And 16-bit tetrahedral. Let's do the Aces CCT. So that's what I'm doing in Resolve. Display color space is going to be the Rec 709. So hit OK. All right. Why does that look like that? That's not how that is supposed to look. So let's go back to my effect controls here. So let me turn this off. Let me turn the display off for a second. I'll turn it to none. I didn't mean to turn it off. Okay. So that's just sort of a standard raw, whatever. So I am curious, is this currently, even with the display turned off, is this showing it with these raw settings? Let me change the color temperature from 3500 to 7000. Yeah. Okay. So it definitely made a change, right? We'll put it back on 3500. Okay. So this is all I'll just hit load sidecar again. Sidecar loaded. Great. All right. So with color management, what I want to do is change it from what it is to ACES CCT. Because when I turn this on to Rec 709, this is not correct. This is like over contrast, over saturation by a wide margin. So I need to add a color space transform, and I need to change it from whatever it's being brought in as to ACES CCT. So what is it being brought in as? Let's see. Perhaps it's being brought in as a Rec 709 sRGB. Oh, I gotta turn this effect back on. Okay. And let me turn off the display. Okay. I mean, that's kind of what ACES CCT looks like, but if I put it on display, like that's not correct. Okay. So it's not linear Rec 709. Is it linear P3D65? It's not. I think I tried all of these the other day. It's not changing it to ACES CCT, because that looks the same as before. I mean, that looks better, but it's still too dark, right? Yeah. Still too dark, not contrasty enough. It's interesting, though, because I changed it to a wide. Let's try Rec 2020. No. So I guess the question is, so if I put it on Rec 709, Gamma 2.4 texture, that obviously is not right. So let me turn this color space transform off. What I want to know is this plugin, what color space is it transforming it to? In fact, hey, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm going to duplicate this track here. I'm going to turn the bottom one off, and on the top one that I have selected, I'm going to delete these plugins, and we're just going to start over. All right. So this is the raw file. This is the raw file in Rec 709. In ACES CCT, displayed as Rec 709. So I'm going to go over my effects and presets over here, and what I want to make sure is that I've got the right stuff. So I'm going to look for my B-Raw Studio Layer settings, and I'm going to put it just on this track, and I'm going to let go. Oh, man. You know, there's something that happens with this trackpad, particularly in the Adobe apps, that it will latch on to something, and I cannot let go of it. Look at this. What is happening? Okay. I don't know all the things that have just happened. Drug that thing around. Okay. Let's try this again. Can I just double click this? Yes. The answer is yes. Okay. As soon as I double click it, it totally looks wrong. All right. So I'm going to load the sidecar. We'll see if that makes a change. It should go a little cooler by loading the sidecar. Doesn't look like it did. Looks like it's exactly the same to me. If I turn this off. Okay. This is clearly making some type of interpretation in what's happening. Okay. And it looks like to me Rec 709 is being applied twice. That's why everything is super saturated and super contrast. So we're going to do a color space transform. All right, so I'm going to search color. There we go. Color space transform. We're going to add that next. Because what I want to do is I want to change it from what it's coming in as, which I assume is this Gamma 2.4 Rec 709, and change it to ACES CCT before we change it back to Rec 709. And this is what I get, and this is not correct. So this plugin here must not be changing it to Rec 709, but I don't know what it's changing it to. Let's just look at every single one of these. Nope. Data raw? Nope. Compositing. Nope. 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 That's the closest so far, but it's still too dark. Yeah, it should look like that. That's what I think would be correct, but it obviously isn't. Again, that looks close, but it's not correct. Yeah. So the question here is, let's go to our user guide. And let's see if we can find out what color space this is. Actually, I would rather look at this over here, which I think that's what this is. So let's bring this over. Okay. Documentation. Okay, how to license directly inside Premiere Pro Media Coder, B-Roll Studio for After Effects now available. B-Roll plugin, B-Roll Studio, what's the difference? B-Roll Studio presets. Licensing, workflow. This is mostly about Premiere Pro. After Effects. Does it support 32 bits per channel? Yes, it does. Oh, interesting. So maybe we need to turn it on 32 bits per channel. Why is it not written floating point or trillions of colors? If you configure your project in 8 bits, then After Effects will ask 8 bits to our importer and same respectively for 16 and 32 bits. Sadly, the description will stay as millions of colors. Okay. Why does my footage have frames decoded in different ways, like flickering between two sets of settings? Cache issues. Why aren't masks working? Non-rectangular masks or masks with feature are not compatible with our layer settings. Okay. Why is it frame interpolation? Yep. Importing the B-roll will use our importer by default. Interesting. Important things to be aware of. B-roll sidecar workflow and caching issues. Okay. Dynamic links. Nope. Changing the sidecar after the file was imported can lead to caching issues inside After Effects. If you import a B-roll clip, scrub the timeline to add some frames into the After Effects cache, then change the sidecar next to the B-roll. The cache is now all frames from all files. Or open the source settings within the desktop application. When the pop-up is closed, the cache should be invalidated for the current source item. Reference the top of this article. Open the source settings. Okay. So, project. Is there source settings? Go back. It says reference the top of this article for source settings. I'm actually going to duplicate this tab and go to the top of this article. Changing source settings. Right-clicking on it, interpret footage main, and then at the bottom of the open modal pop-up, click on the More Options button. The source item is the one in the project window, not the layer in the composition. The column type should say Blackmagic Raw. Yeah. The desktop application will be opened automatically and linked with this source item. Interpret footage main. Well, here's your problem. Disable color management conversions for this item. What if we were to do that? This footage is not color managed, then we just manually color manage everything. Oh, so now it's just not doing anything. So that's not the answer. That's not it. Let's go back. Interpret footage main. Go back to our color here. Turn that off. Yeah, media color space rec 709. So that's what it should be. Override media color space. These options are grayed out for reasons I don't understand. Color management is on. To turn color management off, go to project settings. Color values will not be converted because media color space and working color space match each other. Okay. I'll go to main options and hit more options, and this is going to load the third-party application right here, which okay, and then hit OK, and it's supposed to redo the cache for everything. But it did not make any improvements. Man. This is quite frustrating. Anyone watching? Anyone know what's happening? Anyone know why this is happening in this way? Anyone at all? The only thing I can think, let me put it on ACES 1.2, see if that makes any kind of difference. It's still ACES CCT. Display color space, Rec 709. No, looks exactly the same. The only thing that I can think is because this is a new version of After Effects, I did get a warning that the B-Raw plugin is not approved to work with this, episode or whatever. I mean, this version. And so it does make me wonder. Maybe that's the issue. So one way to find out. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Resolve, and I'm going to do Command Shift 4 and just take a screenshot of this. That way I don't have to have Resolve open to see what these colors look like. Okay. And so we'll just save and close. Okay. Because this obviously is incorrect, right? So I am going to I guess I'll save this and quit After Effects. And so what we'll do is, let's just see. This was updated January 4th, 2024. Let's go to the Autochroma page and just see if he mentions any. It just says it's available now. Free versus premium. See if he has a blog or something. See all blog posts. Custom LUTs. B-Raw Studio Legacy versions for old support. Previous macOS and Adobe. This is not really telling me anything worth anything. I'll go back one page. B-Raw Studio is now free. What? B-Raw Studio. The basic importing features of B-Raw Studio are now free. Free decoding of all B-Raw footage using Premiere Pro and After Effects. This applies to version 2.7 and all future versions of B-Raw Studio. This means anyone is able to use the basic importer features of our plugin suite for all Adobe audio video software. You don't need to use the buggy plugin for Premiere Pro from Blackmagic Design. There's now not any reason not to use B-Raw Studio in your daily workflow. B-Raw Studio free versus premium license. The free features. The Adobe Importer is now free. We also added a free conversion tool. Includes its own player that is free. You can change the color space in the footage interpretation settings. I think that's something that I need to fully understand. Okay. General source settings premium features. Presets, I don't use those. Custom AV and quick comparisons, don't use those. White balance picker, I don't use those. Oh, so I should just be using the free version of the latest version, right? Okay, where is it? B-Raw Studio, download. Okay. Free version included. Okay, download for Apple. Oh, hang on, this says, if you have files recorded from the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, that's what I have, they will not work on latest 3.1.5 because of a crash issue happening on some systems, see changelog. In that case, please try 314. Okay, but this says 335, so downloading for Mac. Okay, it's downloading. Let's see what happens when we install. This is the riveting content that you're here for. Okay, I've got an uninstaller. I've got a changelog. Let's just look at that real quick. So 315, BRAW SDK rolled back because of a crash issue. Uh, 332 fixed crash issue. Looks like. Okay. All right. And this was updated October 15th, so very recently. Okay. Before I do this, how recent is that article where it's free? It says March 12th, 2023. Okay, so why did I ever pay for this? I don't know. Anyway. All right, so we are looking at installer. Okay, run that. I'd like to access files on a removable volume. Okay. Going to continue. BRAW Studio for Adobe. Finder open BRAW with BRAW Studio. Yeah, and hit continue. And install. And needs a little fingerprint ID. Wants to access my downloads folder. So okay. Running package scripts. Open a brand new BRAW Studio application. Which looks like this. Okay. And it seems like I had this problem before where it stopped here and stalled out. And I had to like restart or something. Why? I don't know. I don't know. But before, oh, it's done. Great. There we go. All right. So close. Installer would like to access. Yeah. Great. Do that. We're going to keep that for the time being. All right. So here's the player. So I ought to be able to open anything in here. Double click to load a file. So we'll double click. And we're just going to go to that same folder where we've been to look at that same file that we've been looking at right here, number 4. And we'll open it. All right. And we'll go to, the frame that we're looking at here. And we're going to hit load sidecar. And this says trial mode. Trial started. You can test for 5 minutes the available features. Okay. Well, then I don't understand what the whole free version is about. Anyway, it loaded the sidecar. Didn't really make any difference to the thing there. So, okay, that's fine. Yeah, everything is exactly how I have it in Resolve, but it doesn't look right. It does not look right. So I think it's got to be about the color space that it's converting it to. What is this? Oh, it just opens and closes that panel. Okay. Settings. Importer synchronous mode. Premiere Pro. Clear cache. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. All right. Let's once again load After Effects. Been on Threads a lot recently. It's an interesting place, I'll say that. Oh yeah, don't look at my payment information. Let's see, a new version. No, we'll update that later. And we'll open up the project I was just working on. Okay, and it's got a big red X through it. I don't understand. What is the free version then? What does the free version allow me to do? I thought the This is why I downgraded to the version 2. But so far, what I'm looking at is it doesn't change anything because this is still not correct. So let's go to my effect controls here. All right. Load sidecar. Yep, sidecar loaded. Okay, great. Okay, so it needs to be bringing in as a Rec 709. Color space transform cannot be applied. Let's go to the project settings. Let's go to color. Oh yeah, let's put this on the correct color space there. Working color space is going to be ACES CCT. Display is going to be Rec 709. Rec 709 SDR. Is that the only Rec 709 option? Yeah. And okay. Okay. So what's interesting is this does look like here. Okay, it says that that's open, so is that a... This is so stupid. This is not going to let me shrink it at all. Cool. Why would I want to do that? And why would I want to be able to see my menu up here? You know, no reason for that. Why would I want to be able to resize this? You know, this is not going to show me anything at half speed. I right-clicked on it, and now it's latched on and won't let go. If I hit escape, still nothing. How long have I been at this? An hour? What have I gotten accomplished? I can't even use my computer. Look at this. Okay. menu up there is not showing. I swear that is After Effects doing that. Look at this. My top menu will not show at all. Save changes to, yeah, fine, whatever. Close that. Okay. I'm in Finder. My menu up there won't pop down. I'm in Safari now. Safari menu won't pop down. Did I miss something? Let's read this again. Let's all zoom in so we can look at it here. The free features. Your Adobe importer is now free. There is no trial image anymore. You can import your B-raw footage and all the frames will be decoded in the same way of the premium version. I think the chicken's just trying to get in my house. Yes. Oh, it was a little bit terrifying. Somebody beating on my door. It was a chicken. My neighbor's chickens. Friendly chickens. They just wanting some snacks. Okay. Anyway. So I guess if you do anything in this panel, you have to have the paid version. Okay, in After Effects, there is no source settings like in Premiere Pro, so with the free version, you can't change the B-raw settings. So I guess my question is, it doesn't matter. Okay. Well, I have no menu. Why? Where did that go? Appearance. Show scroll bars. Dark mode. Sidebar icon size. Desktop and dock. I think that's what I want. Dock, position on screen. Automatically show hide the dock. Automatically show hide the menu bar. Never hide the menu bar. There it is. Now I have a menu bar. If I set it back to always, it goes away. Why? Why? Okay, I'm going to set it to never so I can see the menu bar. All right, let's open After Effects again. I'm not accomplishing anything, you know, and yeah, that worries me. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's do this. Let's delete this plugin. This plugin here, let's just delete it. Gone. Okay, my red X is gone, so that's good. I'll turn off that color. Okay, so this is what we expect. So this is just with the free importer. And I think the white balance is correct. So the importer must be accessing the sidecar file. I would like to have verification of that. The free features. The importer works. There's no try. We added free conversion tool. Oh, here it is. Okay, let's see. Note that converting your B-Raw Studio to the BMD plugin will lose any changes unless you except if you export those settings to sidecar files. Let's see. Less bugs. You can change color space in the footage interpretation settings. Interesting. The project manager, collecting copy, reconnecting full, proxy, resolution, previews, compatibility increase. You'll find out more information. Okay, I'm going to guess that the importer is using the sidecar because it looks how it's looked with the plugin. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my color management here. Okay, so project settings, color managed, ACES CCT, Rec 79. Okay. So now I need to go to the B-Raw file, and I need to go to Interpret Footage, and go to Main. And I'll look at the color settings here. Okay, so Media Color Space Rec 709, override Media Color Space to ACES CCT. If I override it to Rec 709, interesting. If I override it to Utility Raw, no, it's not right. It just looks the same. Linear Rec 709 for sRGB. That's clearly not correct. What are all my Rec 709 options here? Oh, there's these options also. Yeah, that's not right. Oh. Oh, input. Black Magic Design, Intermediate Wide Gamut, BD Wide Gamut Gen 5. Interesting. Camera Rec 709. I'm guessing if I choose this BD film, that doesn't look closer than it has been, to be quite honest. Override media color space. I'm just not sure. Yeah. No. Yeah, I just don't understand why it's not looking correct. This is way too contrasty. It's way too crushy. It's way too saturated. The colors are right. Yeah, I don't understand. Do I have a color space transform on this? I do, but it's turned off. If I turn it on, yeah, it does that. Which I clearly don't know what it's coming in as. Yeah. See that's another layer of Rec 709 conversion applied. It's even more saturated. It's even more crushed. That's what I think is happening here. That it's somehow converting it to Rec 709 twice. Because that's close to what it should look like, but it's too saturated. It's too contrasty. I can't seem to. But that's not enough. It takes all the. I can't seem to find the magic. Like, that's closer. It's still too dark. That's encoded AP1. Gamma 22 AP1. No, it's basically the same thing. Turn that off. Untone mapped is closer. It is still too saturated. But if I do display raw, that's not correct. I don't know. You know, I thought we had this worked out, and now I don't know if it's this new version of Adobe, because Adobe is now updated to 2025. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it to what I think it's supposed to be. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on Rec 709 SDR. Okay, and I am going to turn this color space transform on, and it's going to change it from what I assume is Rec 709. Okay, so now this is, it's just not right. Let me turn my display off for a second. The question is this what the ACES CCT looks like in Resolve? And the only way I could know that is by screwing around with my color correction. Anyway, let's just put this on here. I just don't know how I can work when this clearly is not correct. This clearly is not what this is supposed to look like. It's too dark, it's too low contrast. This is clearly not right. Oh wait, what does this say? This says the effect is still valid as selected input color space and output color space are available in the OCIO configuration file. Let's just do this. Let's just delete that. Let's go back to project. Interpret footage. Let's just reload the footage. Okay. Let's go to interpret footage. Color. It's in the working color space. Should we override it to something else? Okay, obviously not that. That's not it. Rec 709 is not an option here? What happened to that big long list that I just had a minute ago? I've got a bunch of log choices. Oh, show all? Ah. Just going to leave it in the working color space. Interpret as linear light. I don't know what that means. Color management is on. Turn color management off. Go to project settings. Color values are assumed to be in the working color space ACES CCT. Color values will not be converted. But the problem is, I don't think it is. Yeah, okay, so if I wasn't doing color management, this is what it would look like. It would be oversaturated, over contrast, and be real crushy. Why? I don't know. I mean, it can't be. After Effects can't be that far off with the color. Surely. So, try one more thing here. Yeah. But I think that's what. What did I just change that to? I mean, that looks like the raw file. Okay, so if I go into the Finder, and I quick look the file, those look basically the same except for the white balance, right? White balance there is much oranger. And it's a little darker. Again, because it's using the metadata that's built into the camera to produce that image. If I were to open this in the Blackmagic Raw player, that's identical color, right? That's identical. This is clearly using the sidecar to open this with. I want to try opening in B-Raw Studio, which it might not like that. Oh, here we go. B-Raw Studio. Okay. That's identical, right? Okay. So this doesn't look like Davinci, but maybe it'll look like that once I bring it into Davinci with the color management. Okay. So what have I done? I've overridden the media color space to say, hey, this is actually Rec 709. Okay, interesting. All right, I'm going to save. And I'm just going to repull. Yeah, okay. All right, so that little blank right there is what we're trying to get rid of. If I turn that off and turn this back on, I just need to turn off these. That one's already off. I need to turn this off. Oops. Right, and that's the same. That's the same, yeah. Okay. So now I can go back. Let's go back to the original project here and take a look at it. And this is supposed to be on Rec 709. There we go. Okay. The eye just doesn't look right, but we'll fix that. This should be at Rec 709 also. Okay, there we go. And just save these. And the B-raw is Rec 709. Everything's okay. So the only thing then is these patches that he's made. It's got something to do with the content aware fill, and I don't know how he's done this. I don't know anything about how he's got this set up. I've not used the content aware fill here. So the eye is not going to be correct, but what I'm looking for is, does the rest of it look correct? And can I render it and it not output as black, right? Okay, so from here, I'm going to composition, add to render queue. Here's my render queue. And then we've set as an output mode this VFX output, which goes to QuickTime ProRes 4444XQ, RGB, millions of colors, audio, stereo, 48K, because that doesn't really matter, and color. I'm going to output it as ACES CCT. So let's see if that's what we want. Let's see if that works. I'm just going to cancel since I didn't change anything. Got best settings. Need to put where I'm going to export it to. And this is going to be a large file, so I don't want to put it in the Dropbox. So I'm going to go to my fast drive here, the 1012, and I'm going to do export. And I'm going to do After Effects exports. Let's just call it A. And then new folder, and we're going to call this tests. Okay. And we're going to leave the file name the same because that's how you easily relink it or whatever. And if we need to do that, I'm actually going to drag it in by hand, so it's not that big a deal. But, well, I guess if I am going to drag it in by hand, maybe I should change the name, right? So I'm going to do test 01. Okay, and I hit save. Okay, I'll save my project. And then render. I'm just going to render it right here in After Effects. I'm not going to do it in Adobe Media Encoder. While that's rendering, I'm going to pop over to Threads. Let's see. I asked, how do you consume movies? Just movies, not TV series, or other motion picture media. Please choose the one that best describes your typical behavior. One person said streaming only. 2 people have said buy, rent digitally. And 1 person said buy physical media. Somebody says, wish I could choose 2, but I stream and collect discs from my local used books, movie, music store at McKay's. The amount of times I hunt for a movie I'd previously streamed only to find it not available pushed me to buy a Blu-ray player and start collecting. I buy used discs between $1 and $15, depending on the rarity of the film, how bad I want it, and will buy DVDs as long as it's not for something visually stunning. Interesting. Would love some more feedback on that poll, but what are you thankful for today? I am thankful that I can learn these things on my own, even if it takes me 2 hours to realize that I already had it set the way I wanted. Possibly. So far, it doesn't look like it's rendering black on my machine. Do, 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 do. All right. Almost done. 73% of the way there. So it doesn't look like I've had. Looks like I had maybe one dropout of the stream the entire time I've been streaming. It is kind of laggy on this camera. But I think what was causing all the dropouts previously was having the second camera attached where you could see the Blackmagic color panel. It's a shame that you can't see it, but if I do end up buying a new computer, then I will use this laptop for live streaming, and I won't have the issues that this laptop has, including the fans being loud, which they currently are. We know what that sound means. Let's get back to work. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I'm in After Effects here. I'm going to save it. I'm going to quit After Effects. Bye-bye, After Effects. And now we're going to launch Resolve. Ba-ba-ba-bum-bum. Oh, yeah, I gotta go to yoga here in a little bit. Oh, my watch is dead. We'll change watches while Resolve loads. Actually, it's going to ask me here about the library. Almost there. Okay. And honestly, this is a good time for a break anyway. So let's have a little break, and then I'll be back. See you in just a few. I was going to play the trailer for you, but it won't play smoothly for some reason. This poor little computer. It's got too much going on, I guess. All right, let's go back to our desktop here. Welcome back. I went to go check on the chickens, which that's not a... Well, my neighbor has chickens. I went and checked on them. Coffee's really good. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the shot that we just made into Resolve and see how it compares with the raw file. So I'm actually going to go back into that edit pane where we disabled the previous clip, the one that Noah sent me. And we're basically going to put our clip right on top of it. And one thing is, and I have to zoom in here so you can see, is that it's off somehow. I don't know what's going on between how I'm communicating, getting things to Noah or whatever, but it's like one frame over, and it's also one frame short at the beginning. So there's like 2 missing frames at the beginning, and then it's one frame over, but whatever. Right now we're just trying to get the color stuff worked out. We'll figure out all the ins and outs and stuff at some other point. I suspect what I just outputted, since it's from the file that Noah gave me, unless he's already adjusted it, I suspect it'll line up with this clip here. So let's just go to our Finder. And let's, I guess I can close this now. And let's go to the new, here we go. And let's find where I just put that. So exports, AE, tests, and here it is, test 01. And, oh, yikes, look at it. Oh, well, yeah, because it's ACES CCT, so it should look like that. That's correct. Okay. So now I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to drop it into my timeline. Hopefully that's something that'll work. And looks like it does. I'll just let go. Okay. Oh, nope. I'll tell you, I don't know if this is the Wacom tablet or if it's, you know, having After Effects open or what the deal is. Let me use my trackpad. I think it's something with Mac OS and this particular trackpad. This looks like maybe Noah. Oh, brother. Okay, I just hit next clip and it moved my time. Oh, but it didn't fix. Good gravy. I don't know unless maybe I can change apps or something. No. I just want to get work done, man. I can't. This stuff like this drives me crazy about post-production. This is why I cannot do this. This is why I want to be a director and a producer, and I do not want to do this. What is this? What is this? Why will my mouse not let go of this clip? I'm using my trackpad. That's not making any difference. I'm hitting escape. That's not making any difference. What do I do? Somebody tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. Okay, it recognizes. I don't even know how to look something like this up. This is the stuff that drives me absolutely bonkers. I cannot get anything done for stupid stuff like this. What even is this? Okay. Wacom multi-touch won't let go. I don't know. My pen is lagging, jumping, or always drawing without touching the surface. What can I do? Pen drags everything. The pen. So I'm not using a pen though, you know. Maybe if I used the pen, maybe it would. I'm just like, what? Please let go. Okay, that's obviously not it. Oh, oh! Okay. So I used my pen and eventually was able to get it to let go. How? I don't know. Okay, now if we look at this image, clearly it does not look correct. Okay, so we're going to go into the color tab now and we're going to do some color management and see if we've done this the way it needs to be done. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to ACES Input Transform. It's currently set to No Input Transform. ACES Transform. Color Space Conversion. ACES CCT. Okay, but that doesn't look like this. Oh, yes it does. Oh, well, hang on. Maybe it looks like that because... Alright, so let's go to the edit mode here. Yeah, because it's covering up the whole clip, right? So, if I disable the clip, see, it doesn't look right. It looks how it looked in After Effects. But it should look like that. Why doesn't it? Oh, okay. All right. For one thing, this has some color correction and stuff applied to it. Right? Okay. All right. So let's go back to color. Back in the color page. Because our bypass is not off. So let's turn the bypass on. And then go back to the edit page. Yeah, it's still not. Just, I don't understand. I don't understand. Group. VFX Interior Day. If I just, what's already in that? So it already has those. If I turn that off. Oh, I got to add it to the group. Groups. Assign to group. That's not right. It's not right. It's not right. Did I render it out as a Rec 709? So I need to. No, that's obviously not the right choice. Okay. Should I do it as a Blackmagic Design film? 4K film Gen 3? No, that's not correct either. Should I bypass color management on this clip? Okay, clearly not. Clearly I should not do that. No input transform. That obviously is not right. I don't understand why these clips look like that. And this clip looks like this. It needs to look like that in After Effects. Well, actually, it needs to look like that in After Effects. That's what it needs to look like in After Effects. And it doesn't. And I don't know why it doesn't. I'm out of ideas. I know nobody's watching, even though it says one viewer. But if you got any ideas, tell me. Tell me. So let me look at the, what was it, Command 9? Okay, apparently not. Shift Command 9, maybe. Project Settings, Color Management. I'm using ACES CCT, ACES 1.3. No input transform, meaning it has to detect or you have to tell it. And I'm outputting to Rec 709 because that's my monitor. So stuff that is Blackmagic Raw. Look at these. Stuff that is Blackmagic Raw, it's able to interpret correctly. It knows that it's Blackmagic Raw. Hey! I've been on for about, I don't know, 2 hours. Learned nothing so far. I'm trying to get color management between After Effects and Resolve working correctly, and so far, it's not happening. So, I don't know what to do. All right, I'm going to put this back on the track that we're looking at here. Still currently bypassed. This is what I need it to look like. I'll save that for the time being and close. What's the haps in Germany today? I guess it's night there. Nighttime. Yeah. All right, let's go back to the desktop here. All right. Peeling some oranges and khakis, like pants. Oranges. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. I need to put that on my shopping list because I'm out. I just bought so many groceries and I already need to buy so many more. Yes, forgive me, I am unilingual. And I don't even speak English that well. So okay, let's go back to this color management stuff here. I'll go drill down into the original clip here. B-roll. There we go. Go to my effects. All right, I have things on here, but it's not what I want. Oh, persimmon. Yeah. I haven't had a persimmon in a long time. We got a couple of persimmon trees on our farm, just grow, wild. You got to get them at the right time. Once they get ripe, the birds will pretty much come and pick them clean. And before that, if you eat them green, yeah, don't recommend that. That's not fun. But if they're ripe, right off the tree, ooh, boy, they're good. They are good. Okay, let's look at what we're looking at here. So B-raw is opening the clip. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start a new project, just for giggles. No, not a new comp. File, new project. Okay. Yeah, let's open a new project. And I'm going to bring the file in. Okay. And it sees it all milky up there like a raw file, as it should. Now I'm going to make a new comp from that selection there. Okay, so here's the clip. Okay, interesting that it looks like that. That is very interesting. So I'm going to go to my project here and see what my project settings are. And I see that my color management, it's color management. Let me just go to Adobe Color Manage. That's what I want to do. Yep, changing the color engine. Changes to the color engine have an impact on the color management and color settings parameters. Yes, I'm aware. That's why I'm changing it. Working color space. We'll just do the standard like sRGB. Whatever. Okay, that's kind of like as expected. Still doesn't look how it looks in Blackmagic. Okay, well, I'm learning lots of things about you. To each his or her own. I like my bananas. I like them kind of freckled. I want a lot of flavor out of them. I've heard of it, never seen it, so I'm not aware of what the coloring in that looks like or anything. But I'm sure it's very professional because it's a professional series. Oh, and they're probably not using Adobe After Effects because Adobe After Effects stinks when it comes to color management. Let me go ahead and save this while I'm at it here. And where was I doing that? The Post Media VFX briefcase color test. And we'll call this Skidmore 2. All right, that's saved. So I have a project now that still doesn't look right. I have no color management on at all. All right, so if I turn the color management back on, oh, interesting. Yeah, it sounds like it would be up my alley. I was not really interested in the story of the marvelous Mrs. Maisel early on, but I love that time period and it just the color and the set dressing and the cars and the hairstyles and the wardrobe and everything just looks so fun. So finally, I was like, okay, I need to watch this. This looks like I would enjoy at least looking at it. Turns out it's a really great series. It's a little vulgar, but let's see. ACES CCT is what I want to do. And we're going to do display color space rec 709 SDR. Okay, I hit OK. All right, so that is not right at all. But what I can do is I can reload this footage. Okay, that changed nothing. Let's go to interpret the footage, main, and look at the color space. It's Rec 709, but it's overriding it to, if I change this back to Rec 709, then that's not right. If I just change it to utility raw, that's not correct. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure it out. Yeah, really the only like super like actual working thing is I've got some install work that I've done at a farm venue here, and so I've done a little bit for them. But honestly, it hasn't been much. I'm getting a little, like I need to make some phone calls or something, start putting something together. All this Rec 709 stuff is not right. It looks how it looks in the like these are the right colors, but it's too contrast and too saturated. This is too much. And that's not enough. This is driving me bonkers. Hero's good. I just saw Hero. Had a little break a minute ago. A lot of the chickens are going through molting right now, so for several weeks they will be losing feathers. The good layers apparently lose a lot of feathers at one time and look kind of puny looking. One of the chickens, Tiny, which is actually one of their biggest chickens, Tiny lost a lot of feathers and was looking really kind of skinny and puny. And that probably means that Tiny is a good layer of eggs. And then other chickens have kind of been losing a feather here and there. I think Hero has kind of been losing a feather here and there, although she looked kind of skinny today. And I've noticed more feathers in the yard, so maybe she's losing hers quickly too. As far as I know, Hero has never laid an egg. I don't know if she's able to. I don't know if she ever will. But it could be that that is so close. Why cannot? But it could be that after she's done molting, maybe she'll start laying. So they usually don't lay eggs while they molt, from what I understand, or they don't lay as often or something. So, but once they're done molting, they'll go back to their daily laying schedule. Some of them lay like 280, 300 eggs a year or something like that, in which case they don't lay as much when they're molting, but sometimes they might lay 2 in a day. So you didn't know you were coming here for chicken content, but here it is. So if I change this to something. Okay. Now doesn't that look, let's pull up. I don't want that open. Close you. I want to go back to, I need to pull up my desktop and I need to go to my most recent screenshot. No, it's still not enough. Son of a gun, man. And if I do display raw, that will... No, that's not right at all. No. Too dark. This I don't... It's driving me bonkers. You know, the trailer's close. I'll have to open Resolve to show you some of the things that I've done, which I guess I can do because I'm obviously not getting anything accomplished here. Man, I'm just really having trouble with this. I thought we had solved this, and but now it's not. It's not working, and the stuff that I'm getting is not coming through correctly. I wonder if I'm going to try one more thing, and then I'll open up Resolve and I'll show you. Project settings, color. I'm going to turn color management off. Okay. Just doing Rec 709. Working color space. Okay, that's fine. I go to the effects. Man, that just is not. Oh, but huh. Okay, let's try this. So now I'm going to. Oh, except this is. I don't have. This is the whole shot. Dadgummit. Let me close this project. Let me reopen my old project. Open recent. Let's do this one. Yeah, and it reset at one point, so it was like a half hour or an hour before that. I've been on since about 12:30 my time, I think. Yeah, fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to turn the effects off. Okay, they're off. I'm going to go to my project settings, and I'm going to turn off color management. Or just do Adobe Color Managed, okay. Yep. And Rec 709, no, yep. Okay, that looks about, honestly, it looks about the same, doesn't it? I'm going to add to render queue, and instead of rendering out as ACES CCT, interesting. I'm going to preserve RGB. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to reinterpret this here. Interpret footage, main, color, preserve RGB. Okay. All right, and now that I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to color, and I'm going to go to preserve RGB. We'll just see what that does. We'll see what that gives me. Oh, man, this is rather obnoxious. Oh, and I'm rendering out the wrong comp. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, actually, let me stop that. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to render out this one, because this is the one that has all the changes on it. Even though the eye, oh, looks correct now. Oh, isn't that weird? Oh, brother. The only problem with doing groundbreaking things is there's no one to ask, how do I do this? And there are people in the world that can be asked, but I don't know them. So they're not going to tell me. All right, let's try this again. So render RGB, okay, and I'm going to change the name of this. Yeah, to test 02. There we go. Now we're going to render. Okay. So give this just a minute to do its thing, and then I guess I can be opening up Resolve. I'll wait till this is done, and I'm going to open Resolve. This is going to take just a minute. Won't take too long, but it will take just a minute. As far as the look goes, I really like movies from, I grew up as I was a kid in the 80s. That's when I was watching movies. 80s, early 90s. And that sort of defined what a movie was to me. And so that's the look that I like. And these early film stocks, particularly from the 80s, they don't have a whole lot of latitude necessarily. The difference between your whites and your blacks is it's not a wide range. And so I'm glad that I can shoot on a digital raw camera such as this to capture, all the, look at the hot spot in the window here in the dark of the closet. The window is not fully blown out white and the closet is not fully blown out black. It's able to get a wide variety without losing detail. But to make it look like the film stocks I like, I got to crush it back down. I need white whites. I need black blacks. I need some more contrast than what you're looking at here. This is obviously too dingy looking, too milky looking. So that's one thing, is being able to appropriately pick not just the contrast so it looks like these old film stocks, but also how it rolls off into the black and the white. So that's what we call the curve. Davinci Resolve does a lot of that stuff, kind of under the hood on its own and in good ways. There's other parts where I need to kind of go in and fix things and tweak things, and that's part of the color correction process and the color grading process. But celluloid film also captures colors differently than a digital chip does. And so you get little interesting quirks in celluloid film that you don't necessarily get out of a digital chip. Digital chip will actually give you a more faithful reproduction of color, but I'm not, I don't want that necessarily, because for the same reason, well, there are a lot of times in a film where you sort of make this choice: do I do it in a realistic way or do I do it in a filmic way, right? Because a movie is a fraud from the beginning. Motion picture, the picture's not moving. It's a bunch of still pictures in succession that it fools your brain into the idea of motion. So the whole art form is a fraud, from the get-go, right? So, I want a realistic actor's performance. Well, that's just an oxymoron. The actor is pretending. The actor is not really going through the things that the character is going through. They're not actually that character, right? So, even with the technology, do I want an exact, faithful reproduction, of the color? Well, not necessarily. What I want is a good acquisition of color so that I can present the color the way that I want. And I want it to look like, these film stocks. And so some of the quirks of these film stocks is up in the top end, because of where the red, green, and blue layers are placed in the emulsion. The top end, generally, I guess, in the negative, holds on to a little blue. I guess the blue is maybe because it's a slower wavelength, or because the blue is on the bottom of the emulsion, or whatever. I don't really know the chemistry and the physics behind it. But it means your blown out whites typically are a little warm. You might have white whites, but just outside of that, they're going to be a little golden. It also means that in your shadows, just as you come out of the shadows, you're going to get a little rust color out of the blacks before you go into, whatever other color you're dealing with. So your blacks will be black, but just outside of the black, you'll get like this little rust color. So I've got a lookup table that someone created that takes the colors that you have and transforms them just ever so slightly into a filmic look, and it's based off of the most popular Kodak Eastman film stock, It's really good. I like the way that it looks. And I have to color grade with that on because it does change the colors quite a bit. So I don't think that this is going to make the difference that I needed, but let's see. I'm going to close After Effects. We're now going to load up Resolve. This will take just a moment to get Resolve loaded up. It's loading now. Davinci Resolve Studio version 19. Open the darkness rolled over her project. All right, so here is the raw shot that we were just working on. So I'm going to go to the edit window. And I had major problems with this a minute ago, so I suspect I will have them again. So you just have to be patient with me while we figure it out. But I'm going to take the second test that I did, and I'm going to drop it in on V4 here. So I'm going to grab this, drop it in on V4, and let go. Oh, it worked. Okay, great. That was simple. Okay, that looks crazy. All right, that's not correct. That's not what I want it to look like. So we're going to go back to the color panel, and we're going to give it some instructions that hopefully will make it look correct. So we need to tell Resolve how to bring it in. Right now it's not doing any color transforms. We need to tell it what is the color. Well, the color that was probably working in was Rec 709. But that doesn't look like the previous shot does. So let's see if I can do, well, we can go back to the edit page. I can show you a comparison. So back in the edit page, select the file there. And if I disable it, that's the color that I'm going for right there. Okay. This has none of that color applied. This is not right. This is what I want. This is the raw shot out of the camera, and this is how it looks in Resolve. This is the look that I'm going for. Let me turn this effects panel off so you can see the image. Close the scopes. You know, this is what I'm going for the final look of the, and I haven't color graded this particular scene, so this isn't even necessarily the final look, but this is getting closer to the final look. This is not correct. All right, so now we're going to go back into the color tab with that incorrectly looking thing selected there. I'm going to try a different input transform. I'm going to choose the Blackmagic Design Film 4K Film Gen 3. That looks better. So now the other thing that I need to do to it is I need to put it in the same group as the raw files so that it has all the other color grading stuff that I've done to those files, because it does have a little bit done, even though the color grading is not done, some of the color correction has been done. So I'm going to go to group, and I'm going to find the interior bathroom day group, and I'm going to assign to group. And you see it made some changes there. Okay, so now I'm going to go into edit, and I'm going to disable this. Okay, interesting. So there are definitely some changes, and I do like this better. This is still darker. This is still less saturation. But we're getting real close. We're getting real close. So I feel like it's still the input transform is the thing that I've not quite nailed. So let's try a different one and see where it goes. So Blackmagic Design. What if I just choose regular Blackmagic Design Film? That looks overly saturated, right? Let's go to the edit page and just check. But that looks like too much. So if I disable it, yeah. Yeah, it's clearly too much. Okay. So back to the input. Okay. Blackmagic Design. Let me just do 4.6K film. No, that's not right. Let's do what about Film Gen 5? No, that's not right either. Oh, brother. If I do no input transform, it's, oh yeah, that's not right. That looks terrible. Okay. Color space conversion. If I say that it was ACES CCT, Yeah, that's not correct. By the way, isn't that interesting? When I had the color management stuff on in After Effects, that's what it looked like. Okay, maybe that's a clue to fixing this. Maybe that's a clue to fixing this. If I go to inverse display and choose Rec 709, yeah, that's not right. So the closest thing I've gotten is going to Blackmagic Design. What if we just do 4K film Gen 3? I think that's the same as it was before, really. Let's do the 4.6K and see what that looks like. That looks better, but it's still not right. The thing is, I want it to be right. I want it to be correct. And so far it is not correct. Apple log, inverse display. Let me just try an sRGB. No, that's terrible. Okay. So I'm just going to put this back on to the 4K film Gen 3. Yeah. So this is the thing that is such a shame, because what all the B-roll clips are using is Color Science Gen 4, but that is for some reason not an option here under the Blackmagic Design. There's film, there's Gen 3, and there's Gen 5. There's no Gen 4, which is what everything is using. And why is it like that? I don't know. Let me just try this. No, it's not right. Okay. But what did I learn? So when I set this to ACES CCT, it looked like... So this is Rec 709 footage, which I'm overriding saying, no, it's CCT, so it's adding Rec 709 again and giving me oversaturated, overly colored, over contrast, too dark. Might be able to go back into After Effects and do something with this. I might. But while we're here, I'll show you some general looks here. I've thought about that. I haven't gotten fully into color grading everything just yet. And I have definitely thought about getting like grittier or more contrasty as we go. So I'm still kind of thinking that one through. This stuff is not really colored correctly yet. But the underwater stuff is going to end up looking pretty cool. Actually, it's not bad right now. So go from the underwater stuff to her laying in bed. This stuff has not been colored. I haven't dialed all this stuff in correctly just yet. It's all too green. Doesn't look right. This stuff looks a little better, but again, the color grading is not done. I've mostly been color correcting, not actually grading. Oh, another thing is I don't have everything turned on. Let me turn everything on. So here's this cinema LUT. I'm going to turn this on. Watch this difference when I turn this on. So I'm going to enable node. Which I can do this way. So I'm going to turn this. See how everything just went kind of like golden and warm, and just like a little, the contrast shifted. It's not like less contrasty necessarily. Yeah, I haven't seen Twilight, so I can't compare it to that. I don't want to do anything like super drastic. I just want kind of a nice film look. And so I've got, let me turn my grain on here, my print grain. All right, so this is basically my final image. This is what this is pretty close to what this shot's going to end up looking like. I like the way this looks. Let's close this gallery so you can really see it there. In fact, I think I can do Command F. Yeah, there's full screen for you. So, I've added in film grain so that it will look like film. I like the highlight in her hair. I like that any place that we go fully black is not information that we need. And there are very few places that are fully black. So even the black dishwasher over there, you can still see the features on it, If you can see, I think my camera is covering it up. Let me go to a non-camera view. All right. And you'll see down the bottom right, those highlights. Yeah, Monk. I like Monk. I mean, Monk was shot on film, you know. So see the highlights down the bottom right. There's like just a little bit of a kind of a reddish glow around the outside. That's the halation. Film sort of blooms and bleeds around hot spots, and so we're trying to recreate that. You can see it a little bit on the rim of her coffee mug or the little salt shaker there. You can see it a little bit on the just the outline edge of her hair. It's this very subtle thing. You don't want to overdo it, but it is something that a film stock would have. So I do have the halation in there. Let's go look at another shot. Is this one done? No, this is not a bad nighttime shot. Kind of a silvery bluish. I need to work on the exposure and stuff here. This has not been even corrected, much less graded, but you can see the big contrast in. She's staring at the mirror. Oh, blast. Sorry. Let me get out of this. There we go. She is staring at the mirror, staring at herself in the mirror, and then has a flash. There we go. Staring at herself in the mirror. This is a pretty nice looking shot. I like the way this looks, And then flash to this nighttime shot, which was from the previous scene of her looking at the pills there. Sort of a monochromatic sort of kind of blue-green nighttime. And then we go back to that, that mirror shot. So that contrast between the warm and the cold, What's some other stuff that I've kind of done? I've worked on this one a number of times. I need to go back and redo it, but it's Mrs. Hiddlemeyer outside. This is a little contrasty for what I like. So this was an early scene that I did that I knew I got to go back and redo it. But it doesn't look terrible, but it's not the way I want it to look. I want it to be brighter. Actually, it does look terrible. It's all crushed down in there. So all that needs to be, this scene needs to be redone. Let's see, her driving around here. There's kind of like a reddish hue in the bottom end that's just really nice. You can see a little bit of that rust in the hair coming out of the dark spots of the hair that I like. This is a really nice looking shot. I've just still got a lot of work to do. I've worked on this some, but I need to come in and do some power windows. Again, I haven't graded a ton of stuff. I have done some color correction, but I haven't done any. Like, I love this shot, but I haven't really done anything to it yet. So this is pretty much straight out of the camera. Nothing's been done to it yet. And already, like, it looks pretty good, but it's like a little greenish, so it needs some color correction done. I've worked on the stuff at the store. So these shots should look pretty good. There's her and Sam talking outside the van. Okay, this frame right here, this is a good looking frame to me. This reminds me of the old 80s stocks movies that I used to watch. Just their skin tone, the grain, sort of the reddishness in the hair, the whites going just a little warm. This isn't fully done yet, but I like this scene. I like how this is looking here. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's just turning out to be a little harder to accomplish than I'd hoped. By the way, here's a little trivia for you. These four guys, here's a better shot of them here. Okay, these four guys. On the left, this is my composer, Shane Yoder. He also has a drone, so any of the drone shots, any of the really high shots in the movie are from his drone. And that's why he was actually on set. I told him to dress like a fisherman also because I needed him for this shot because some of my other fisherman guys that I wanted couldn't be there that day. So he shot some drone stuff for us that day, but he also is standing in as a fisherman. The guy in the middle of the screen with the blue bandana around his neck, that's my brother. It's my older brother. He was just going to be basically an extra, but ended up having lines because of somebody who couldn't be there one day. And then, of course, Roy is one of the main characters, the third guy there. And the fourth guy who's standing in profile there is Jeremy. And Jeremy did the artwork for the book covers for all my books. So that's why I've got him in the movie. And his wife is in the film also. I think she's the first one out of the van, so I think we missed her already, maybe. Yeah. But she's there. She's in the scene. I've worked on the inside of the store a little bit. The inside of the store is hard because they had different color fluorescents on one side of the room than the other side. Making it a pain to try and color correct this scene. But anyway, doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty good. Looks fluorescent-y and kind of like this shot. I think this look at this frame. I feel like this is a good looking frame. You know, it's if Sam who's kind of facing us there, if Sam's face were brighter, I might brighten it up a little bit when I go in to do like the final color grade. But if her face were brighter, we'd start to get a video-y, like, in America we have these Hallmark movies for the Hallmark Channel. They're like sort of these cheap, they shoot them in 18 days, get them cut together in 2 months, and just, 30 new Christmas movies a year. And the kind of thing my sister-in-law puts on in the background while she's decorating the house. And, you in the first 5 minutes, you know exactly what the entire story of the whole movie is. But the women, they don't care. They just want to watch it. My brother has to leave the house when they have it on. He's got 3 daughters and they all love him, So if the lighting were a little more high key and she were a little brighter, it would feel like a cheap movie or like a soap opera or something, But if the whole image were darker and more lower contrast, it would feel like a lot of these streaming movies now where I feel like I can't see anything. We're talking about Emily in Paris and how vibrant everything was. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is that way. Very vibrant, very colorful. In fact, the cinematographer is on Instagram and doesn't have a huge following. And he's also very active on Threads. And I see him commenting on Threads a lot and responding to people's stuff on Threads. So it's very cool that somebody like me could have basically personal access to somebody who shot something that looks really good, So this isn't like super color like Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or probably, Emily in Paris. But it's to me, it's not like an Ozark or something where it's real dingy and dark and half the time you're like squinting at the screen trying to figure out what's going on. It's just gritty enough to feel real. It's just dark enough to not feel cheap, to look like film, to capture all the information without losing detail. And I'm pretty happy with how this is already coming along and looking. I think I've started on this campsite footage. It's looking a little magenta, so maybe I haven't. No, it looks like I haven't done much with it yet. Let's go to the group. Oh no, I've done nothing with it. So this is just basically almost right out of the camera. Here's some more trivia for you. Roy is tying this leader to this fishing line, and he's showing Gwen how he's doing it, and then we cut to his hands having tied this knot. That's my dad. It's my dad's hands. We shot this months later in a different part of the state. This is right in front of my parents' house in the middle of the suburbs. We just shot it up against his truck, so it would kind of look the same. Of course, you can't tell. I think you already know my dad does a lot of the fishing scenes. Like this right here. This is the back of my dad's head. And the fishing stuff I've been working on, not necessarily color grading yet. Oh, actually, I take that back. Looks like there's no balancing here, so never mind. I got so much work to do, man. And just so little, like, emotional capital to pull it off. So, again, here's a shot that has basically had nothing done to it. I haven't color corrected it. I haven't done any grading. And it already looks decent. I mean, her face is too dark and the shadows are a little crushy, so there definitely needs to be some work done to it. But even without doing anything to it, like just right out of the camera, like just looks good. It looks like film. I'm real happy with this camera. Very few, in my opinion, very few digital cameras at this budget level really look like film. You got to do a lot to it to make it look like film. Blackmagic has really figured out the color science to get this stuff looking just real good, just right out of the camera. Just looking real good. All right, so let's go through all the fishing stuff. Still fishing, still fishing, still fishing. Here we go. Let's see what this shot is here. If this has had something done to it. Oh, this is more store stuff. Capital, of course, is like, if you like in money, if you have capital as a business, you have cash, basically. You have resources that you can spend, right? There's a thing called decision fatigue, okay? So why I get the same thing when I go to Starbucks, I get the same thing every time. That's one less decision I have to make. Steve Jobs wore a gray turtleneck and jeans. He wore the same thing every day. That was one less decision he had to make that day. He just put on the same thing. It was fine. It worked in pretty much every scenario. That what he was going to wear, that decision was made a long time ago. He doesn't have to make that decision anymore. I have lots of little systems around my house. How the toilet paper goes on the roll, or how I make breakfast, or whatever. I have all these little systems. So I'm not making decisions about that. I'm just sort of going through the motions and just sort of going through those routines. So I'm not spending decision-making capital on those decisions. I can spend my decision-making capital instead on these decisions, which are different every day and are important. How I make my coffee is not important, so I'm just going to do that the same every day. But how I do this scene versus the next scene is important. I need my decision-making capital to be spent on this and not on a bunch of stupid stuff, right? I go to the same yoga classes every week. You know, I try to keep a routine. That way I get up at the same time pretty much every day, that kind of stuff. You know, emotional capital would be kind of the same. It's like, how much like willpower and energy do I have today that I can spend on this? And man, there's just some days where it's just like I can't do this today. The 2 hours that I've spent in After Effects trying to figure out the color management stuff to get it out of After Effects and into Resolve and look correct, and as you see, I still don't have it figured out. that is used most of my emotional capital for the day because it has frustrated the fire out of me, and the futility of it is just like, you know. Other days, there's just other stuff going on in life where it's like, man, I'm really struggling to find the energy to come in here to this office, to sit down, right? One thing that was taking out my emotional capital was my streaming setup. I added a second camera so you could see my, oh, you can't even see me right now. I added a second camera down here so that you could see my control panel that I was working on. And the simple addition of that second camera bogged my computer down so hard it was causing the stream to drop every 5 minutes. And it was creating a whole bunch of YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, which I still haven't gone in and deleted. Same thing on Twitch. Twitch auto deletes them after 2 weeks, but YouTube I need to go in and clean up because there's just a bunch of junk on there now. And it was so frustrating watching it cut in and out, and I'd get 2 or 3 followers or 2 or 3 viewers, and then the stream would drop and it'd come back and be 0 viewers, you know. Some new person, if it drops out, they're like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. They don't come back, you know. And that was really frustrating to me because I just want that to work. I don't want to spend emotional capital on my streaming setup. I don't want to spend emotional capital on trying to figure out Adobe Color Management. I don't want to spend emotional capital. Um, I don't want to spend it on things outside of this, life things about, my finances or my relationships or my family or whatever. Just got a lot of stuff on my mind. And so some days it's just really hard to know, like, what is my emotional budget today and how much work can I get done. And, I'm trying to increase my emotional capital as much as I can by working out, by getting sunlight, by honestly playing with the chickens. Is not just a hobby. It's like, I don't have my dogs anymore. You see, Matilda on my desktop. 1 year ago yesterday, she died. I buried her, and it's fine. I'm fine. I'm not necessarily grieving over it still or whatever. I miss her. But there was something about having dogs in the house every day to just touch. There's a chemical thing that happens. You get this oxytocin. That oxytocin that like increases your emotional capital and helps you do other things and helps you move on. And I'm not getting that from the dogs now. I'm not getting it from I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I don't have my parents are in another part of the state. The time, even in my yoga class, I'm not like touching another human being most of the time. So simply playing with the chickens, picking up Hero and holding her is like just a little bit of oxytocin. Is that going to give me a little more emotional capital today? So even though that's fun or it's like a relaxation or whatever, like part of that is strategy for me. Like, is this going to increase what I'm able to do today? And Hero seems to enjoy it, But anyway, let me turn this filter on. So the store stuff, which I have done all the store interior stuff, and I've got it. I haven't done a whole lot to the grade, but it's like already really liking how everything is looking. Let me find this. Oh, here. This is the shot I'm looking for right here. Look at that. Look how good this looks. Did I try to get in touch with any other independent movie makers? There's a lot of people like that on Threads, which is Instagram's answer to Twitter. Threads has kind of been a little bit of a miserable place. Honestly, people are super negative and critical about just everything. It's just like, ugh. But I'm trying to like be a positive force there. I just want to bring joy and positivity and not so much snark and all that, Not really getting a huge response over there. I have connected with some filmmakers over there, but have not really gotten into communicating with them about my project or working together or anything like that. At this point with this film, I have done almost everything myself, so it's like I'm just going to finish it. I'm real close to finishing it. I'm just going to do it myself. If somebody gave me the money to pay somebody else to finish this, I just don't think I would do it. It's like I'm so close, so close to doing it on my own. I kind of just want to be able to say I basically did this by myself. I don't want to undercut all the help that Noah gave me. I could not have made this without Noah. Could not have done this without Noah. But all the big roles I've basically done myself. And when I see a shot like this, that's color corrected, that I think is pretty much graded, it just looks so good. I'm really happy with it, I need a Marxist approach to my emotions. Yeah. Well, so does that mean I'm going to borrow some of your emotions? Or I'm going to give you some of my depression? Like, how does that? I'm not sure how a Marxist approach to the emotions would work, but I do. I do that all the time. I think about the premiere all the time, especially now that we kind of like. I won't say that we've set a date because I will not set a date until the movie is done, but like we've talked about a date, and that's helped us all kind of like envision a way to like get done and be done. And I think about presenting it to my friends and family and people seeing it. But look at this shot. Look how good this looks. It's that little eye light. I mean, just the range of exposure on her face to me is just perfect. I mean, it looks like a painting almost, but it still looks real. I wish that my computer would play it faster than 2 frames per second. That's as fast as my computer will play it with all the color grading on there. But anyway, it still looks pretty good. And so if I bypass all the work that I've done, that's the original shot out of the camera. Real video-y. It still looks good, but it's definitely video. Definitely, you know, this is the film look. Super happy with it. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I need to get it done. And the thing is, it's like, I'm going to get it done, and it's not like it's Citizen Kane or anything. It's not like it's, you know, got 9 million effects or anything, but like, it's just, I'm just in this real tedious place where it's like getting all this stuff done is like super tedious. And I'm going to release it. My friends and family will care, but most people will look at it and see that it's just a simple film, you know, and go, oh, okay, that's pretty good. You know, it's not like it's going to shatter the earth by releasing this film, but yeah, it will be definitely very good to have it done. I think this was the scene that I was working on when I stopped last time, so the color grading has not been done on this scene, but I think I had it color corrected, so it's sort of correcting the red, green, and blue values, even without the color grading done. I just love this bloom from the sky. I just love the way this looks, man. So then it gets later in the day as they're headed back towards the campsite. This will end up being a little more golden. Probably not this golden, but it'll be something like that. And so then we get back to the campsite. I'll take some of the green out of this, but this is kind of what this is going to look like. You see it's a little darker. She has sort of a tough moment here in the tent. And even as like monochromatic as all this is, it's still just like, I don't know, man. Looks pretty good. And she comes out. And some things happen out here outside the tent. And you can see how gray, flat the sky is. Again, I haven't color corrected any of this. This is just out of the camera, but this is not too far from what it'll look like. This is getting dusk now, right? So then there's a little dissolve to a shot of the campfire. You know, there's like a little montage with everybody walking around in this kind of dusky kind of look. Everything's getting a little cooler, a little darker. And now we're here sort of like magic hour. None of this has been corrected yet either, but getting into sort of this magic hour kind of look. There's Jeremy again. Oh, Jeremy, so he's the one that did the color correction. I mean, the covers of my books, the artwork. And then this is Lisa. That's his wife. Yeah, you know, the word filmmaker has been broadened to encompass a lot of things that I wouldn't necessarily call film making, but I also don't own the rights to that word, so it's not really up for me to define what that is, I guess. Then we have this time lapse, and we go to night. And I'm looking forward to getting in and coloring all this stuff. You can see it's kind of all oversaturated right now, but getting in and correcting this stuff and coloring it. It's pretty like high contrast in terms of the lighting and stuff. Kind of went overboard a little bit on the lighting, but again, all the movies from the 80s, all the nighttime stuff, it was like super blue and like, you know, the moon was like this real hard contrast, you know, kind of thing. And they're sitting in front of the campfire, so that's where the really warm light is coming from. And so here is this uncolor corrected image. You know, the colors aren't right, saturation's a little too high, contrast a little too much, and still it just is looking really good already. It just looks good already. So I'm looking forward to diving into this nighttime stuff. And they move away from the campfire and they go out for this. Sam and Gwen go out for this walk in the woods. And this stuff is going to be a little bit more challenging because there is some information back there in the background, but we just didn't have enough lights to light everything. So I could shoot sort of wide open so that you could see, like right here, the river, see it a little bit. I just didn't have the lights to light that big a space at night. It's like this shot has got some things that are too hot in the foreground. This spot behind him is a little too hot. All this stuff's too dark. I'm going to have to do a lot of power windows through here. But then this shot, like, looks pretty good. You know, this is kind of how I wanted, you know, everything to look for the most part. And again, none of this has been balanced or corrected or anything, but even so, it looks decent. You know, looks good. Looks a little lit, but that's okay. It's a movie. You know, it's not real life. And then the stuff after, so we got some stuff in the cabin, nighttime stuff in the cabin, and then outside the cabin. And this stuff also has not been properly balanced or anything yet. It's too contrasty, too dark. And even still, look at this shot, man. Oh yeah, that's a big feeling unsuccessful is a big part of it for sure. For sure. I mean, I think that's where a lot of non-chemical depression comes from. Yeah, of course, is it's about purpose. You know, so success fits into that obviously, but the idea of purpose is, what am I doing here? What am I doing? What am I contributing to the world? You know, am I being a drain on the world, or am I being an overall positive net positive, you know, in the world? And that's, to me, that's one of the hardest parts about filmmaking has been the entire filmmaking process is a drain on the world until you release it. And when you release it, hopefully then it becomes a positive that makes all the negative worth it, you know. But until you release it, everything is an expenditure. You're spending money, you're spending time, you're spending favors, you're spending emotional capital, you know. You're making sacrifices. You're choosing to do this instead of other things. And but once you release it, then it can go out and it can do some good. I think this story in particular, dealing with depression and suicide, will be a net positive in the world once it's out there. But it's just, man, how do I get to the end? They definitely really enjoyed being part of the movie. They're also like, when's it coming out? When are we going to see it? You know, they definitely want to share it. They just posted on Facebook a couple of days ago. Phil posted something about it. Like, he's like, I'll believe it when I see it. You know, and Becky, that plays Mrs. Hiddlemeyer, the old lady in the robe, she posted about it. She's like, it's supposedly coming. I hope to see it. You know, she wants to show it at senior night. She's like, will you give it to me on CD so I can show it at senior night or whatever? I was like, well, we'll figure out some way to do that. It's like, if we're going to show it to 100 people at senior night, I'd kind of like some financial compensation for 100 people watching this movie. But anyway, there's, so there's some excitement definitely about the people that worked on it. People that care about me, care about it, want to know about it. But if they don't, I got to be careful how I say this, I guess, but it's like, they want it to be done, but they're not really doing anything to help it get done. You know, I'm the only one getting it done. Noah is doing some of the effects, and he can't even do that right now because we can't get the stupid After Effects stuff figured out. and music is almost done, but like I'm at the mercy of other people, you know. So I have a few people that are contributing some things. My composers, my Noah. But yeah, everybody wants it to be done, but I don't see anybody else here. It's just me. So again, they'll be real excited about it when it's done. But that just is not helping me get it done. It's just not helping it be done, to be honest. Let's look at the inside of the house. I feel like I've done some of those. This is another beautiful shot. Yeah. Yeah, this is some stuff that I've already color corrected and slightly color graded. Look at this shot. Look how good this is. Look at that. I'm so happy with that. It looks so good. Right. Yeah. Oh, of course. Hey, but here's the thing though. You showing up and encouraging me, that does help. you know. I mean, don't feel obligated that you have to come on and do it all the time, but that you do is encouraging. That helps. I'm like, why does some random guy in Germany even care about this? But you do, and that matters to me. It really does. It adds to my emotional capital. Being able to live stream and knowing somebody is watching or listening or whatever, it's like makes it feel like this isn't totally futile. That matters. I think if I could do this more regularly, I think I would get more followers and have more people on, especially now that I think I've got the streaming stuff. It was going pretty good with the audio, and then when I switched over to doing Resolve, OBS was taking up too much GPU on the one computer. I switched to the other computer, and it's so old it was having issues. I think I kind of got it squared away for the most part now, so maybe I can convince myself to be more consistent. But I just love the way the film grain makes all this stuff look. When it softens the edges, but doesn't get rid of any of the detail. Oh, man. I just love all this stuff so much. There's a lot of work to do still. All right, what time is it? 3:25. All right, I'm going to. All right, so what did I'm going to go back to. Let's see, we're close. It's right here. This shot here. Okay, here it is. This shot. All right, so this is what it looks like. This is what the previous shot looks like. It doesn't look that different, but it is different. Let's go to edit, let's disable. Yeah, see, I like that better. This is a little dark. The gamma's a little off or something. Yes, I will try not to go psychopathic. That would be good. Yeah, everything online is consistency more than even quality or content. There's people I follow that they're like, here's what I bought at the grocery store today, and I'm watching it, and about halfway through I'm like, why am I watching this? I don't care what she bought at the grocery store. What is this? But it's because it's somebody I follow, and it's like, oh, this is like, I'm interested in their life or whatever, which I'm, half the time I'm not actually interested in it. I'm just looking at it because it is there to look at. But yeah, consistency is the most important thing, and it's the thing that I'm the worst at is the consistency. But okay, so what I found was this is Rec 709. If I tell it it's CCT, then it ends up looking kind of like it did in After Effects. So in After Effects, I need to convert it to CCT, but then tell it it's Rec 709. Is that what I need to do? Could be. Could be. You never know. How do you how are you when you come on? No, definitely would not have banned you for sure. Do you just get on Twitch to see like who is on? Um, because you don't always come on like at the beginning of the stream when you would get like a notification or whatever. So I'm guessing you just come on and like, oh hey, he's on. Is that something you do every day? Is that something you're like, oh, I'm going to wind down. Now it's my Twitch time when other people would be watching TV or whatever. Um, what makes you get on Twitch to even see that I'm on? I wonder why I can't bring that down. What do you think that's about? Oh, did it bring the audio in? Is that the problem? Yes. Bro, I don't want that audio. Oh, I didn't want to delete the whole thing either. Link clips. Aha. Aha. It's still not letting me. Oh, because I'm still got them both selected probably. There we go. I don't need you. Go ahead. I see. Yeah, see, I'm not a gamer, so I'm just not used to being on Twitch. Like, as you know, just even getting on Twitch at all was just kind of a total fluke. Back when we were doing the Foley stuff. All right, let me save this and quit. Go to FaceTime while I load up After Effects. Oh, I don't have to walk around for a minute here in a little bit. We'll update that later. We will update that one. We'll load that project. All right. And here we go. Okay. Stop. Thank you. All right. So we're going to turn the color management back on. Oh, that's awesome. That's a good idea. What speedrunners? I don't know what that is. Is that exactly what it sounds like? Okay, that obviously is not correct, but that's okay. We're going to fix it. We are going to fix it. And do I do that by interpreting the footage? Color. Aha. I suspect it's not going to change until I hit OK. Open layer source. Oh, that's what that is. That's not what I want. Right, we'll have to go here in a little bit. Okay. Oh, I got you. Yeah. I see. All right, all of these things here have to be interpreted in a certain way. I wonder if I can do them all at once. Nope. No, I cannot. And I don't know. I don't know how these are used. Ah, okay. All right. That's getting somewhere. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to remember the interpretation. Yes. And then I can apply the interpretation. Yep. Boss. Okay, so that's all Rec 709 stuff. Got that settled. And now I need to go to the interpretation here. And go to the color. I'm not going to preserve the origin. We're going to call this. Oh, this is so bizarre. Somebody hollering outside. Oh, that's interesting. How does your performance-driven nature exhibit itself in your day-to-day life? League of Legends. You mentioned that last time. Still don't really have to see it being played, I guess. Okay, that is what I had that looking like before in Resolve. And what did I do? I had Rec 709 that I said was CCT, so it was applying a Rec 709 transformation again. So that's what I've done here. Also, is overriding in the color settings. Yeah, so I need to say no. Don't override. This is just. What if I just do data raw? What do I get out of it? No, that's not right. So it does, I do need to tell it that it is Rec 709. I think another issue here is I thought that one of the options was I could choose the output Color Science 4, ISO 400, Pocket 6K film to extended video. Yeah, but we're not using that. Gamma, Blackmagic Design Custom. I thought one of the things that it said was that I can decide what its output as. I do not see the option to do that. I didn't really make any changes anyway. This says color values will be converted from the override media color space for X709 to the working color space ACCT. And if it's on the default, which is just the working color space, color values are assumed to be in the working color space. And color values will not be converted, which means it is the display transform that is doing the conversion here. But if I tell it, no, this is Rec 709, then it displays it like that. Oh, I'm brain dead. I can't. I'm gonna have to do some research. I'm gonna have to get on YouTube. Excellent. Gained a new follower. Always happy to have new followers. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to leave anyway because I gotta go to yoga here in a little bit. I need to change shirts and stuff before I go. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do research on this and figure out. I thought that we had it figured out the other day, and yet, nope, not coming into Resolve correctly. And yeah, I don't know why. Do not know why. Um, oh, let's try this. I'm gonna try one more thing before I go. Interesting. Hmm. Let's see. I don't need that on. Took that off. So this is on. Something is happening there. Come on, man. Okay, if I turn this off, it should look weird. Oh, and it doesn't. If I turn this on, that's ACES CCT. That's what it should look like. Yeah, that's correct. Oh, okay. So now if I do, huh? Or what about? Interesting. Is that better than what I had before? Ugh. Oh, boy, that is so close, isn't it? Well, it did not like that at all. Is is that right? No. No, it's not. It's closer though. Oh, brother. Oh, yikes. That's obviously not correct. What is happening? Nope. Yeah, I give up. I don't know. I don't know. That's it for me for the day. I might come back later tonight, try again. But I think I just need to spend some time watching YouTube. Did I try to AI about this? I could do that. I can give that a try. Talk, talk to old Chat GPT, see what he has to say. Um, I mean, yeah. I feel like I know how it's supposed to work, and it's not working correctly that way, and I don't know why. I don't know why. So, and some of it may just be, despite all these standards and everything, After Effects just interprets colors differently than Resolve. You know, the whole point of color management is that things interpret things the same way. But maybe After Effects is like, screw you. I have heard After Effects color management will make you want to pull your hair out. I clearly have suffered that battle already, but yeah. So this is not that surprising. I had it. I just swear we had it figured out the other day, and it worked, and it was great. And Now, whatever I'm getting out of After Effects, I can't seem to get into Resolve in a meaningful way. So, oh well. All right. I gotta go. I'm out of here. Hope that you've got a lot to be thankful for today. I'm thankful for your presence here today, keeping me company. That helped a lot. And I'll see you next time I'm on, quite possibly. Bring friends. Find somebody to encourage today. And go in peace and keep moving. See you later.